Hey guys, I'm so glad you stopped by. So today, where's yesterday's video, we're gonna, I said we were gonna make something that sounded really fun. One of our neighbors here on the channel had mentioned the fact that she had done sticky toffee pudding, which is kind of like a muffin, and it's got toffee sauce all over the top of it. And I thought, okay, so this is a sign, because like a few days before that, me and Chris had been watching a show on YouTube. It's called Jolly. It's a channel. It's called Jolly, and it's these two British guys that travel around the world trying new things that they've never tried before, food-wise, or they, in their own neck of the woods in London, they tried some Michelin restaurants, things like that, just to kind of critique food. And they had sticky toffee pudding. And then our friend here, Hibiscus Freak, had mentioned that she had just got done making some, and I thought, holy cow, it's like a sign to make sticky toffee pudding. I've never made it before. I've had it. It's amazing. So hopefully we get this right, and it tastes just as amazing as the one I've had. So, but we'll see, right? And it's a fairly simple, straightforward recipe. It doesn't require a lot. Most of the things you should have in your repertoire, so to speak, in your pantry. I don't see one thing on my counter that would represent maybe dates. You know, most people don't carry dates in their pantry. Most people, not all, but some do. But everything else we should have: eggs, brown sugar, right? Molasses, vanilla. Yeah. But anyhow, that being said, this is your first video. Welcome. I'm glad you stopped by. I hope you get something out of this video. Maybe give it a try, and check out some of the other videos if you're returning or one of our new subscribers. And thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That keeps our neighborhood growing, right? Keeps us out in the algorithm. So does like, subscribe, and share. Hit that notification bell, hit the subscribe button, share this with all your friends. It would be really cool to get close to 5,000 subscribers for this year. 5,000 people in our neighborhood would be amazing, right? I mean, that's almost a small town. And we're getting there. We're about 4,200 now. So we don't have far to go. It'd be nice to exceed that. Although we've only got like 3 months to do it in, so we got to really kind of get her going. And I need your help to do it, hands down. Comments, always welcome. I respond to every single one of them, no matter what. Doesn't matter how many, doesn't matter what you say, I'm going to respond in some form or fashion. The only thing I ever ask is you think before you type and you be respectful. It's okay to disagree, though. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying everything has to be, rainbows and lollipops, but be polite when you decide to disagree with me or anybody else in the comments. That's all I ask. So, that being said, I will give you all your measurements in tablespoons, teaspoons, cups, also grams and milliliters. So that way, no matter where you're at, you can play along, right? The more the merrier. That's what makes life so fun. So, anyhow, let's hop on down here to the counter and we're going to get started on this adventure. All right, hold on for me 1 second. Okay, we are down here at the counter. So, first things we needed to do, we want to go ahead and start our oven. We want this to be at 350 degrees, 180 degrees Celsius. And then we want to heat up some hot water. I am using a food processor and a stand mixer. You can use a food processor or a blender, because we got to blend up some dates with some water, or a food processor, whichever one you have. And if you don't have a stand mixer, that's quite all right. You can use a hand mixer and a bowl. That will be the equipment we need, along with another bowl. Ovens at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 180 degrees Celsius. And I have one muffin tin or cupcake pan, depending on who you are and where you're at. And I've got it floured and buttered. You can also use a non-stick spray. The only thing I warn you about non-stick sprays is if you have a non-stick pan, like that one is, it can eventually leave some like weird brown stuff on your pan. It bakes it in because it chemically bonds with the non-stick stuff that most companies put on their pans. So butter and flour is always the way to go, in my opinion. So the first thing we're going to need to do to get started is right here in my food processor. If you can see it, can you see it? Sort of. Right here, food processor, is I have got 8 ounces, 227 grams of dates. It's weird because in the original recipe I found, it said metajoule dates, and I'm like, what are metajoule dates and where do you find them? I actually found them at the grocery store. And you want to just get whole dates, you know, these are, by the way, if you've never had a date, they're fabulous. But we're going to go ahead and put those in our food processor or your blender, whichever one. And there's that. Be careful sticking your hand in the processor. I'm obligated to tell you that because there's blades in there and I don't want to see you get hurt. And then we are going to take, I've got some boiling water right here. We are going to take 1 cup of boiling water. And we're going to put it in with our dates, just like such. And we got to make sure they're all the way down in there. Sorry, I'm in your face, but my hot plate's over there for the water. And we're just going to let those sit in here for about 5 minutes, minimum 5 minutes. Meanwhile, though, we can get started on the rest of this. Because what we're going to do, we're going to pulse that, not completely turn it into a smoothie, but really some chunks. But we need that to put in with our muffin mix. So, in our processor, in our bowl, actually, you know what, we're going to do our dry stuff first. In this bowl here, I have got some flour. It's just regular all-purpose flour. It's 1 2/3 cups, 200 grams of flour. To this, I am going to add 1.5 teaspoons, 6 grams worth of baking powder, right there. And then we are going to do 4 grams, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, just like such. I tell you, when it gets humid out, does this happen at your house? It's a question you can leave a comment down below on. When it gets humid outside, does it get humid in your house? I mean, is it humid in your house also? I've only had a couple houses in my life, and it just seems like sometimes everything wants to stick to glass. And I got a quarter teaspoon of salt to put in. And I don't know why that is. It's like everything I have dry-wise wants to stick to my glass and plastic. And I don't know if it's just me, because it's humid outside. It's rainy. You know, it's not the best sunshiny day. It just makes me crazy. But does that ever happen to you? That's the real question. So we got that in our bowl, and we got it mixed together, just using a whisk. Right now, we can go ahead and use our stand mixer. And the first things we're going to put in our stand mixer is 1/3 a cup, 75 grams worth of unsalted butter. And it's just regular, plain old unsalted butter. Go ahead and get that in there. What is blue? I have something that is blue. That's beautiful. It looks like old food coloring. But I don't know where that came from. That's weird. But anyhow, in with our 1/3 a cup, 75 grams worth of unsalted butter, we are going to put some brown sugar, right? So this was 2/3 a cup, firmly packed. Now, I did not firmly pack mine because I measured mine in grams, which if you have a scale, you should use it. It's the best thing that ever happened to me when it comes to baking and cooking, for that matter. Some things cooking wise, but baking, precision is king. But this is 2/3 cup, which is 145 grams of powdered sugar, and you want that packed, which means that if you're using a measuring cup, 2/3 measuring cup, you're pushing it down in. See how that just went flat on me? You know, and that's because there's a bunch of air that comes with moist brown sugar. You know, so you want to push it down so you don't have that air in there. So we're going to go ahead and get that in there. And according to these directions, we are going to cream the butter and brown sugar until it is smooth and fluffy. Not so much light, because light insinuates it's light in color. Brown sugar is not going to allow this to be light in color, but it can be fluffy like mashed potatoes. I'll show you when we get there. It'll take about 2-3 minutes. All right, so we are nice and combined and looking fluffy, kind of light, but not really. So the next thing we want to do is go ahead and confirm. You know, you always want to confirm. Inspect what you expect. It's kind of what you're doing. Yeah, which should hold true to anything. Yeah, you always inspect what's going on. Make sure it's up to your expectations. So we want to make sure we don't have any butter mixed in. You know, not mixed in with the brown sugar. And See what I mean by fluffy? It looks like mashed potatoes. Yeah, only in this case like maple syrup flavored mashed potatoes because of the brown sugar. But, well, I mean, it doesn't taste like maple syrup, but it looks like maple syrup. Yeah. Brown sugar does not taste like maple syrup. Oddly enough, brown sugar tastes like molasses and sugar. That's what it is. Just a combination of the two. So we got that in there. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and turn our stand mixer back on a low speed. And I've got 2 large eggs, 50 grams each, for a total of 100 grams of eggs. And we're going to put these in one at a time. And we're going to mix each one until they're just combined, until there's no yellow streak left. Alright, we are combined. So now we got 2 more ingredients to pop in here real quick. And one of them is 2 teaspoons, 8 grams or 10 milliliter of vanilla extract. Now see, this is one of those things that they say that wet or liquid and dry measuring cups are the same. You know, that it's the same thing, and it's not. Liquids are measured in milliliters. They have their own department, right? So, and this is a good example of that because, yes, vanilla, a teaspoon of vanilla weighs 4 grams, but it's actually 5 milliliters. One's weight, one's volume. So, you want to make sure you pay attention to that. Don't ever be fooled by, you know, what is essentially a 1 cup measuring cup and a 1 cup measuring cup, right? They are different, you know, they weigh differently. So, anyhow, that being said, enough of that lecture. We're also going to add into this 2 tablespoons, 30 milliliter of molasses. And this is unsalted molasses. Let me look real quick. Oh, gold standard, grandma's, yes, unsalted molasses. Now, molasses, speaking of which, I had a conversation with one of our friends here on the channel about the different types of molasses and sorghum, which is also like a form of molasses. And the fact that I've never tried any of these because I didn't know they existed. I'm actually going to order some just so we can try some different recipes with all these different varieties. It's so exciting. But for now, we're just going to use regular unsulfured 30 milliliter, 2 tablespoons of molasses. I cannot wait to try these out. I was so excited when she told me about them, and I cannot wait. I think it'll be fun to try all the different types and see all the different recipes. I love it when people recommend things that especially products I've never heard of, that will just open up to all new recipes and flavors and tastes, and this is why I like doing little things that are kind of, I don't want to say imported, but at the same time imported, to try what somebody in a different part of the world is trying. That's an amazing thing. This is like traveling without leaving the house. And you can actually taste it, unlike traveling via the internet where you can't really taste anything. All you can do is look at it, right? So we're gonna go ahead and get this mixed up real quick. All right, so we got that mixed up, looking smooth. It actually, I mean, the color looks a little rough, not gonna lie. It looks kind of like I don't know how to explain it. At least not words good enough to keep it polite. It really just looks like a light brown tan liquid at the moment, but it's all right. You're gonna get to see it here in just 1 second. As soon as I get down, all right, there is that. But I'll bring it over to you so you can see it. Hopefully, not really. That's all right. It's like a really nice golden brown. I guess would be almost like a stone ground mustard. But that being said, it smells amazing. So the next thing we're going to do is take our dry goods, right? I feel like you can't see what's going on very well, but I'm still working on camera placements with my new tripod because it's so big and it takes a bit of room, but it's amazing and I'm gonna make it work yet. But anyhow, we're gonna take our dry goods and we're gonna go ahead and put those in so I get the paddle out of the way, or the spatula out of the way, paddle. Go ahead and get those in. And we're gonna mix this till it's just combined. Alright, so we got that mixed in, and I went ahead and got rid of the mixer since we don't need it anymore, but there's where you should be at. a very smooth version of what we started with, which was the eggs and brown sugar, basically. And you want to give it a good once through just to make sure we're good. We are. Now, these dates that have been sitting here for the last 5 minutes hanging out in the water, right? We are going to take these and we are just going to pulse them until they are mostly gone, basically. We don't want to sit here and blast it because we want some small chunks of date left in it. So we're just going to, that was weird. We are just going to go ahead and pulse these until we get nothing left but small, like some small pieces. All right, we got her going. So that was quite the adventure, really. Note to self, if you were going to use a food processor, I would recommend finding a cover. Because what had happened, I don't know if you caught it because I don't know if I put it in the video yet or not, but I started to lose water out of the sides as I was pulsing, and it was splattering everywhere in the beginning. Just in the beginning though, but it did make a bit of a mess. So that being said, I would maybe, depending on your mixer, maybe only put 3/4 cup of the water in. That way it doesn't go splattering everywhere. I got it cleaned up. It wasn't no big deal. And then after that, I was able to just pulse and run it on low for a little bit until we got a really nice, like I said, I didn't pulse it till it was complete sauce, although that would be neat. It a nice smooth with little chunks of date in it. And there are a couple of what look like seeds left in here, I suppose. I'll show you here real quick. So what we're looking for is something like that, right? Is what we're looking for. So what we're going to do now is we are simply going to fold this into our batter. So we're going to go ahead and, since our batter's kind of dense, but we can just go ahead and pour this in here like such, right? Get that in there, and then we're just going to fold this in real quick. Fold it in. Remember, it's around and through, round and through. Okay, so we are nice and folded, right? Looking good. I'm here to tell you what, this batter looks amazing. I've yet to try it, so I don't know what it tastes like. Although I should. Let's tip our batter fingers in here just to see what it tastes like. It's really good. It's really good. And of course your flavor will change as you bake it, at least a little bit. It's kind of the golden rule. So according to the recipe, this should make 12 muffin tin, or 12 muffins worth, in your muffin tin, cupcake tin. So I've got my batter, and I've got a 1/3 cup measuring cup, and I'm gonna basically treat these kind of like a cupcake, and I'm gonna fill these 1/2 to 2/3 full. Okay, there we are, right? Progress in hand. So now we will go ahead and get these in the oven real quick, and we're gonna put that on the center rack, 350, 180, right? 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 180 degrees Celsius, center rack. And we're gonna bake these for 18 to 20 minutes. I will start off with 18 and maybe look at them at 16. We are looking for toothpicks to come out clean scenario. So just like a cake, right? But when I come back, I'll have these out of the oven. We can take a look at them and start making the toffee topping that goes on top of these to make them the ultimate and sticky toffee pudding. All right, hold on for me just 1 second. All right, guys, so we are out of the oven and we were 18 minutes in. Give you a preview real quick. Now, I have a couple thoughts already, but here we are. They look fantastic. They look like beautiful muffins. But the ones I've seen as far as pictures go, and the ones that they ate on the show that I watched, they were a little more flat on the bottom. So not knowing, because in the recipe that I found, they did not mention how big a muffin pan, whatever, because I know I personally, not only do I have these, but I have probably 3 different sizes, all of them big. But I think personally next time I would almost make 18 of these if I'm going to continue to use these muffin slash cupcake pans. So I guess it really just depends on the type of pan you have, and I would not go any further than half full. I did about 2/3 full on these ones, and they turned out okay. I'm sure it's going to taste wonderful, don't get me wrong. But to get that flat top look and not so much the dome look, I would really like to cut the batter back in these and maybe go half full. But anyhow, moving on. We got these, and we know they're done because I took a toothpick and I stuck them in the 2 center ones, just like so. And after I pulled them out of the oven, but see how there's like nothing on there? You know, maybe a couple little crumbs. Crumbs are okay. It's batter you don't want. But while those are cooling down, we are going to go ahead and make our toffee. Our toffee that's going to go on top of these at any rate. And what we'll need to make that with is a small saucepan, and we're going to cook this on a low heat. So I went ahead and started warming up my my cast iron pan here, and I've got a half a cup, 114 grams worth of butter, and I just cut these up into smaller pieces so they would melt a little quicker. And to that, I'm going to add 3/4 cup, 160 grams of sugar, and it's brown sugar, sorry, packed brown sugar, half a cup, 160 grams, and then, or 3/4 cup, 160 grams, and then I've got a half a cup, 120 milliliter of heavy cream. Let me go ahead and put that in there, like that. And then we are just going to put in simply a pinch of salt. It's about a 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon, a gram's worth at most, but right about there. You can always add more as it cooks, so to speak. But what we're gonna do is we are going to cook this and stir until the brown sugar is completely melted and it's smooth. It'll probably even start to bubble a little, not, you know, like a plop. But the important thing is we go slow and low as far as temperature goes, so that way we don't burn it, but we need that sugar to melt completely. Alright, so we are good to go with our toffee sauce. So what we're going to do now that our sugar has completely melted, it's smooth, the butter is melted, we are going to go ahead and take this off of the oven there. If I can get that to stay, yeah, but we'll be alright. There is that. Now I've got 2 teaspoons, again 10 milliliter, 8 gram of vanilla extract. I'm going to put that in there. You don't want to put your vanilla in while you're heating it up, because depending on the vanilla you buy, you may lose that flavor. Vanilla does not do well with heat unless you buy a baker's vanilla. Yeah, so that's designed a little more for heat, but it does have, you know, some interesting, well, not interesting things, but it has some more stuff in it other than vanilla and alcohol, which if you didn't know, that's what extract is. So in this case, it's vanilla and alcohol. But got that stirred in there. Now we want to serve this warm. So what we'll do is, here is our muffins out of the, you know, or our sticky pudding is out of the tins. I got them in a pan because you want to serve it warm, and you don't want to put the toffee sauce on until you serve. You can make these, will stay separate good in the fridge for 3 or 4 days. So you can make this up in advance, just don't combine them. So what we'll do is we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take our muffin, right? You know, or our sticky pudding. Why is that? Why is it called pudding? That's what's so crazy. It's like biscuits versus cookies versus cake by name. You know, a biscuit here is not a biscuit in England or in Europe, pretty much, period. It's just so odd. But anyhow, we will take our muffin, and here's what I was talking about, how it's got the dome on it, but you want to turn it upside down. And I guess in reality, when you turn it upside down, it doesn't look a whole lot different. Yeah, it looks almost like the picture, so to speak. But I really want, you could cut that off. You could cut that off, well, now that it's stuck to the plate. You could cut that top off and set it to the side and have it together, but I think that looks much neater. And then we need to get a serving spoon, so we'll grab a, I love these soup spoons. Forever since I've had soup spoons. Chris bought them the other day. She's like, check these soup spoons out. But we're gonna use these as syrup servers. And we are gonna pour them over there like that. And I forgot one thing, so let me get that on here. And then the last ingredient isn't really an ingredient, it's an option, but I want to put it on here, and that's walnuts. So I'll be right back in just a second. Let me go grab those real quick. Okay, I am back. So I went down and got the walnuts. Didn't have time to smash them up, but that's all right. We can break them up right here as we speak, right? Put those around, and these are just a, you know, an addition to after the fact. You don't have to have them. Another thing you can put on this is some whipped topping, you know, of your choice, or make some homemade whipped topping and just put a small dollop on top. But there we are, all the same, and I think that looks absolutely fabulous. Matter of fact, I think we should try this and see how it tastes. I am going to move you around though so I can see your smiling face. There we are. And that way we can give this a shot. I just so love trying new things because I have no clue what this is going to taste like at all. But I am sure it is going to be wonderful. And Miss Hibiscus, let me know if I made this right or if it's close to your recipe. I would be curious. But let's give it a try, right? Ooh, that is amazing. I don't even know how to describe it. That is dangerous. This is very dangerous. It is so moist, so soft, and you can taste the toffee sauce that's on it, but you can also taste just the hints of molasses and brown sugar and, you know, and the dates. This is just dangerously good and easy to make. I mean, she's right. This is very easy to make. Not hard to make at all. This would easily feed a crowd. Matter of fact, I may talk to Mrs. Smith tonight. We're getting ready to go camping this weekend, and I'm already making the chili for us. There's a bunch of us going. It's a paranormal group, and we're gonna go out. We're gonna do a little ghost hunting over the weekend and do some camping. But I'm already making chili and cornbread, and I'll have to talk to the missus and see if maybe she'll want me to make these. So I guarantee you, when she tries this, she's gonna be like, "Oh, this is great! Oh, it's so good." Anyhow, give this a try. Best recommendation ever, at least to date. So good, so good. So moist, so tender. If you do give this a try, or if you tried it before, leave a message down in the comments. You know, let me know. You know, if you haven't tried it, try it. So easy, so good, you won't go wrong. That's for sure. You'll draw a crowd with this one. But that being said, next week, no idea at all. But I'm sure we'll get into something, right? As we do all the time. But until then, I love you. I love you very much, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else you love them and that you love them very much. They may need to hear it, especially nowadays. You just don't know. And even if they don't, it's going to make them smile and feel good. And it'll surprise them to hear it. It's going to make you smile and feel good to tell them. That I know to be true for certain. And if you make them some of this sticky toffee pudding, I guarantee they're going to grin ear from ear. Probably ask for a cup of coffee to go with it, and just a ton of conversation, or hot tea. Hot tea would be very good with this, I think. with just a splash of honey or that toffee in it. Oh my goodness, hot tea with that toffee sauce would be amazing. But either way, call your friends, call your neighbors, have them come over, have some with you, enjoy a cup of hot beverage or a cold beverage or whatever it is you prefer to drink, and have a good evening of conversation, because I guarantee it's going to be a conversation starter. So until next week, I love you, and I will see you then. All right, see you later. Bye-bye.